everyone. Thanks for joining us this week on the Extra Point Show.
Today we're going to get into some of the big games that happened this week, starting with Jacksonville beating the Bills 6-9.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a terrible game.
Yep. The definitely sometimes games like that happen in the NFL where it's just an absolute shitter, and like I said, like a field goal bowl, and that's what we got between the Jaguars and the Bills. But big news for Urban. I mean, the Jaguars now winners of 2 of their last 3. Kind of getting something going here after coming off that 1-15 season last year. So they're definitely making growth. And one thing about that game, I don't know if you said you saw it. So did you see that?
I saw some of it. I didn't see all of it, but I saw bits of it. When I was seeing it, was pretty boring. Not much was really happening.
Yeah. The highlights and on that game, I'll hit them real quick. There weren't many. Josh Allen sacked and intercepted Josh Allen. The defensive end, Josh Allen, sacked, intercepted, and then like when he intercepted him, like he like pointed to the back of his jersey because they always call him the other Josh Allen, but he was definitely the dominant Josh Allen in that game. And also,
what was going on with the other Josh Allen that game?
He
man, jeez.
Yeah, he got harassed. I think I've got the numbers here. He got sacked 4 times by the Jags defense. They intercepted him twice and they forced him to fumble once on a designed quarterback run. So I mean that's 3 turnovers, and usually the Buffalo Bills have a really potent offense, but I mean they just beat Miami last week, 26-11, and that was
an
kind
odd
of
game.
Yeah,
6-9 one. It's very strange. When I remember seeing that on the TV, I was like, what the heck? It was not in that game.
Yeah, and the other thing about that game is Trevor Lawrence actually twisted his ankle. He got a low ankle sprain and had to come out for a few plays.
No.
So CJ Beathard came in and he was 2 for 2. CJ getting some playing time. Always, every time he comes in, like he does something good. I mean, that's why the dude has staying power in the league. He's got some ability. But I've always liked CJ as a person. Dude's gone through a lot. Good to see him get a little bit of playing time. And the Jags getting probably what's going to be the upset of the year, I would imagine.
Definitely one of them at least.
Yeah. Also notable, the Falcons were playing the Saints. Their first game without Jameis Winston. If we didn't cover it last week, I don't know if we did. He got a pretty bad knee injury and had to exit the game against the Bucs last week, which the Saints ended up winning that game with Trevor Siemian. This week they come out, Trevor Siemian's flat. At one point, Atlanta's up 17-3 in the second half. And the Saints did come back to score 22 points in the fourth quarter to rally, but they still ended up losing 27-25 in a divisional game. So what you'd kind of consider a little bit of an upset with, Atlanta kind of being up and coming and the Saints supposed to be good, but, that drops the Saints down to 5-3 now.
Yeah, seeing the Saints beat the Bucs last week. Last week was surprising. I thought Tom was going to come back, and nope.
Yeah, it's just surprising that they did that last week against a good team, and then they came out this week against the Falcons, who are, I'd say, a decent team. And they I don't know, they just didn't execute the same way. And like I said, they didn't really have any points until the third quarter that they'd been shut out. Mm-hmm. That's pretty unusual for Sean Payton's usually high-powered offense, but that wasn't the only team that had offensive struggles, as I'm sure you saw. Yeah, you want to take this one?
Yeah. Denver dominated Dallas, so that's the 30-16. So
yeah.
I remember when I saw the score during it, they had it for a while, I think, but it was 30-0.
Yeah.
With 6 minutes, and they managed to score 16 points.
In true like if you ever call something like garbage time, like that, in true garbage time right there, getting 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions in the last 6 minutes of the game when you're trailing 30-0 at one point. I mean, Denver's got a good defense. I know you guys saw them like a week or 2 ago, and they held you guys to 10 points. I mean, Denver is a pretty good team. I mean, especially if they can get going with Teddy Bridgewater, and they've got 2 good running backs. But 30-0 against, I mean, Dak looked bad. He did not.
Dude, that's just.
He didn't miss 6 games. He missed 1 game. I wouldn't think that he would look that rusty. But good news for
I mean, I'm definitely not complaining though.
Yeah, good news for the rest of the East.
Although they'd have to lose a lot more games.
If they play like that, they will
not be in the playoffs. If they play like that, yeah, that's true.
if they have too many more like that, I mean, if yeah. But I mean, speaking of, this is a little bit of a rough game in the other spectrum. This one's been more low scoring, but Kansas City picking up a 13-7 win over Green Bay in what ended up being Jordan Love's first start of Jordan Love's young career. And the game was a little strange. The Chiefs got ahead early with a Mahomes touchdown pass to Kelsey in the first quarter, went up 7-0. Then they kicked two Harrison Butker field goals in the second quarter. They were up 13-0 at the half. And then Kansas City didn't score anything in the second half. Usually, like, we're talking about a Chiefs team that the last 2 or 3 years has had one of the most high-powered offenses in the NFL. And last week they scored, they barely beat the Giants 20-17. So this is a team that's, I think Mahomes has like 10 interceptions. He's thrown like more interceptions already than he has previously in any other season.
Yeah, he is definitely not having a good season. I don't know what it is, but he's not looking very good.
Something about it. I know that they retooled the offensive line in the offseason, and they haven't really given up a lot of sacks, but you wonder, I mean, they're not running the ball as well. I know that they've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's been out, so we'll just have, I mean, they're 5-4. They're not, it's not like they're a bad team, but definitely.
Funny side note here about Mason Crosby. I cut my other kicker because it was a bye week and I picked him up, and it's like, of course he only get. I was like, why only get 1 point? There you go.
I was gonna tell you, and thank God you still won, because I checked to see if you won. I was hoping that you did, and Mason didn't screw you on that. But yeah, Mason's missed like an NFL high. He's one of the best kickers in the league, but he's missed 7 field goals now this season. So yeah, I mean, everybody, it can get to be a mental game sometimes with the kickers, and maybe it's just that. But yeah, there were 2 opportunities where Green Bay could have, I mean, there was a 37-yarder which was blocked, and a 40-yarder that he hooked just to the left in the first half. And if he makes those 2 kicks, Green Bay is going into halftime down 13-7. That Jordan Love touchdown that he got to Lazard in the fourth quarter, that ties the game at 13.
His first career touchdown too.
Exactly.
I mean, he did get a pick right after that, but
first career touchdown. Yeah.
His first career touchdown.
Absolutely. That's definitely big news. But yeah, I mean, if Mason would have definitely hit those kicks, it would have had a better opportunity to win. But yeah, just overall a sloppy game. Obviously, I think that if Jordan Love wasn't starting that game and Aaron Rodgers was, that would have obviously been a Green Bay win, probably like 28-13.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I mean, they just, Kansas City caught a break this week with the the COVID protocols of the league, and
and Aaron basically kind of lying about his status, like without, I mean.
Yeah.
he said he'd been immunized.
Immunized, yeah. He'd been immunized, yeah, and he's taken obviously a lot of shit from everybody. Did you see the Terry Bradshaw swipe at him? Terry Bradshaw loves taking swipes at fucking Aaron Rodgers. Remember earlier in the offseason when he was like, he's dumb as a box of rocks?
Yeah.
Well, then this time he had the NFL, like, from Fox, they did their pregame show from the Naval Academy this week. So like he gets all serious and he's like, Aaron, I wish you would have come to the Naval Academy, because then maybe you would have learned to tell the truth. And I was like, Jesus, Terry. I was like, just like, man. I was like, this show's supposed to be about football, but yeah. Anyway, I thought that was interesting, but yeah.
Oh, here's some. I'm happy to see Adrian Peterson.
Yep,
he got picked up by the Titans.
All day. Yeah.
Apparently, he's going to take over for Derrick Henry, which that's not going to be. He's not going to be as good as him. But it's good to see him getting picked up, and I hope he does. Hope he does well enough. I mean, I don't want the Titans necessarily well, but they're the AFC, so hopefully he does some good for them.
Yeah, I mean, there's no replicating the production of King Henry. That's for sure. And he's got a broken, like the broken like outside bone of his foot. So if there's a chance that
he would have had a record season, I was going to say. He's
absolutely,
like way above everybody. Yeah, so that's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah. And I mean, even in that last game he was playing against the Colts, you see, like, he even threw a touchdown pass. Dude could have won
Yeah,
MVP as a
I
running
did see
back. I was like, this guy's going off. But yeah, I mean, he got Tennessee to the point of like a 6-2 season, so they're in good shape without him. And I mean, they came out and they didn't like they played a really good Rams team and they beat the hell out of them 28-16. I mean, at one point it was 28-9. I mean, the Rams getting a touchdown in garbage time.
Yeah.
So I mean, Peterson didn't like he played limited snaps, 10 carries for 21 yards. He did end up scoring a touchdown, which you know, big number 125 of his career, which is huge. That's a lot of touchdowns. That's a lot of touchdowns. But yeah, he's gonna come in and he's gonna at least provide a guy that can run between the tackles like Derrick Henry. So probably not with the efficiency, but I mean, obviously Tennessee can keep it going with that defense, and Tannehill's playing good football. And I mean, yeah, 6-2. I think I said that the Titans were one of the teams that I thought would do really well in the AFC, and I remember they did last year as well. But yeah, I mean, they could definitely make a deep run, especially getting AP. So we'll have to follow that and see how that goes. But with addition comes loss as well, and there was a player released this week. It was I don't know if you ended up hearing about this. Odell Beckham, who's actually on your
Oh,
fantasy
of course
team.
I did.
Yeah, he was
like I mean, I knew it before that, but yeah, I've definitely heard about it.
Yeah. So how it started, if you didn't know, and we'll tell the viewers if you do. But Odell's dad, Odell Beckham Sr., posted a video last week after the Browns lost 15-10 to the Steelers, where there were several plays where Odell was running wide open and Baker didn't even look his way. So we'll put it up on the screen for the viewers to see here in a second, like we like to do now with the editing software that we have. But basically, Baker's dad said to the effect that Odell Beckham Jr. is always open for the Cleveland Browns, and posted several videos just of the routes. He just posted videos of routes of just Odell running open, getting the ball thrown his way. They threw him one pass for 6 yards in that game against the Steelers. Really didn't use him at all. And that happened right before the trade deadline. And everybody, like Odell Beckham's dad, LeBron James was trying to get on that. He was saying free OBJ on Twitter. Everybody was trying to get Odell out of Cleveland. And so then Kevin Stefanski, the Browns head coach, basically after the trade deadline passed on Tuesday and nobody wanted Odell, told him not to come to practice on Wednesday, not to come to practice on Thursday. And then they were just like, all right, man, we're just going to restructure your deal. So the number that they've brought it down to, he was making a lot of money, is that they negotiated his contract down to 7.25 million, and that's per Schefter. So and he had two remaining years on his deal with Cleveland, but there's no guarantee money, so that's not a concern as well. But he's going to be a free agent after this year anyway. So any team that gets him right now, you're basically like we did with Emmanuel Sanders. You're basically renting him for the rest of the season for the run. And there's really only 9 teams with enough cap space to sign him, which we have put on here, of course. And this is the waiver order that I've attached as well. So the Jaguars, which have the 4th waiver priority, Washington football team, which has the 7th, the Eagles, which have the 8th, the Seattle Seahawks, which have the 9th waiver priority, the Broncos at 17, Carolina at 19, the Chargers at 20, Pittsburgh at 21, or the Bengals at 22. Now, where that waiver thing comes in is if multiple of these teams put in an offer for him, the one with the highest priority wins. So, for example, if Washington puts in a claim for Odell, you guys are second highest to get him.
Unless the Jags want to get him.
Unless the Jags want to get him.
Pretty much can get him.
Yeah. So. But Odell wants to go to a contender. And I would definitely say that, not that Washington's in a great spot right now, but they're definitely more built to contend.
They're in a pretty bad spot. I mean,
yeah. I mean, but they could be better. So I mean, maybe the Chargers, I could see him trying to go there. I could see maybe the Panthers trying to get maybe Sam Darnold some more help. The Steelers lost Juju for the season. Maybe that's a place that could try to pick him up. But all those are possibilities, and the Bengals are also a potential contender as well, which they've been looking good. So we'll have to follow that and see how that goes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And in other news, kind of some tragic news, I would say. I mean,
really
this is never anything that you want to hear,
yeah.
but Henry Ruggs III has been cut from the Raiders, because of the DUI, or well, I guess it was kind of like a man. I think
it was a motor
killed
vehicle.
Somebody. So
yeah,
so he's going to be going to prison for quite a long time.
Yeah, he's facing up to, I think it was like 15 to 20 years in prison and like a $5,000 fine for a reckless driving incident that resulted in the death of a young woman and her dog as well, a 23-year-old woman, and her dog was in the car. Super tragic situation. Yeah, you never want to hear that. Super sad for the guy. He was going 156 miles an hour.
Yeah, apparently there's videos of his car flying down the road right before the accident happened. So
while clearly impaired. I don't know why you would ever drive that fast while impaired. That's definitely dangerous. But
yeah, seriously, that's madness, man.
Yeah, that's super. Definitely thoughts and prayers go out to the family and everybody involved with that. Definitely, the Ruggs family as well. I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't like that, but that's shitty. That's your. I saw like his little brother posted something and like saying that Henry and this kid's probably never done anything like this. He obviously didn't expect that to happen. But yeah, you can't do that, man. Like that's
you cannot do that.
You can't.
Like it's bad enough to drive drunk as it is, but like Jesus, if you're gonna go through it doing that, at least like don't be speeding down the road. And I mean, you shouldn't do it anyway, but.
They also found a loaded handgun in the car on the floor of the car.
Oh man.
Yeah, so just not a good situation.
Yeah.
And what's really shitty is Ruggs was the 12th overall pick in the 2020 draft. The Raiders had 2 first-round draft picks that year. 7 picks later, they drafted Damon Arnett, a cornerback out of Ohio State. Who was with the 19th overall pick last year, and he was released after a video went viral over the weekend in which he was seen, and I watched the video and I'll show it to you, where he's got a gun, and I guess some fans were talking shit because like they were calling him a bust or something because he's only played in like 4 games this season. He's been like inactive mostly. So like he holds up like 3 different guns, and he's like fuck you. He's like motherfucker. He's like I'll kill you. He's like, I'll kill you. So he's like threatening to like kill these and like pointing like an AK-47 and like a handgun. He's like, I've got a whole army here. He's like, you're 5 minutes away. He's like, come through. So then Mike Mayock, the Raiders GM, was like, we obviously can't stand for this. And then they released him. And so yeah, that's the Raiders' 2 first-round draft picks from last year, both cut within a week. So makes you wonder what the hell's going on with with Raider Nation scouting process for these guys. I mean, you have Gruden going out as the coach just a couple weeks ago, and now you have Ruggs arrested on felony charges, and then Damon Arnett, and another thing, Damon Arnett, crazy enough, oh my god, you won't even believe this. Damon Arnett is facing multiple lawsuits, including one that was filed in 2021, or actually 2020. It was last year, sorry, alleging that Arnett was in a hit and run in October of 2020 that caused bodily harm to a woman. She definitely wasn't nowhere near what happened to Tina Tinter, fortunately. But I guess he bailed because he was running late to the practice facility for a team meeting. So yeah, he fled the scene. So yeah, this has literally happened with 2 guys drafted in the same round by the same organization within the same week. That is some weird ass shit if you've ever heard it before. That's unheard of. But yeah, definitely thoughts and prayers go out to everybody.
Terrible luck.
Yeah, and I think that the Raiders may need to, if I'm looking at people, if I'm Mike Mayock, the GM, and whoever the new head coach is going to be, I'm looking at guys that have basically like spotless, character records going into this, because I'm not chancing. You sign these guys for 4 years and you got them for what, a season and a half? Like that's, not like obviously the huge loss of human life and lost potential, but like mainly like that organization invested X amount in those players for 4 years, and now they're definitely not going to be there, either of them. Yeah. And this is something that just in time for when we have to play the Rams this coming Monday. But the Broncos decided right before the trade deadline that they would go ahead and trade Von Miller away. One of the all-time greatest pass rushers of all time, who was actually having a pretty good season up until he got hurt against Washington. He had 4.5 sacks coming in, and that's only in 6 games. So now they're going to send him to the defense that has Leonard Floyd, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and it's like, it's like as if we didn't have enough to, and of course coming in to play the Niners this week. So yeah, Von Miller coming from one side, Aaron Donald from the middle, Leonard Floyd coming from the other side, and as we're going to get into here in a little bit with the Niners report, we did lose Mike McGlinchey for the year, our right tackle. So great time to lose our right tackle when we're just going to get bull rushed over, because that was happening against the Cardinals. Jimmy got sacked 5 damn times. But yeah, rough. So
very, very rough.
Great teams getting greater, and that's always unfortunate to see. But I mean, it was good to see the Tennessee Titans get in there and at least hit him for one more loss before they could get Von Miller, because he didn't play last week because he's still healing from that ankle injury.
Yeah.
But I figured you'd get a kick out of this one. This next news report. Frank Gore, who didn't sign anywhere in the NFL. There were several teams reportedly interested, but nobody could come to an agreement with him. So Frank Gore is going to make his professional boxing debut on December 18th. Yeah. Frank Gore, who I think is an absolute badass to begin with. I mean, all-time Niners leading rusher, like third all-time leading rusher in the NFL. Is going to go try a different sport, a la Michael Jordan or one of those, two sport athletes, which is a big risk. I mean, obviously the guy stays in phenomenal shape. The fact that he's still able to play running back or fight at this level, but he's actually going to be taking on former NBA star Deron Williams. So that's going to be interesting. Like I said, that's happening Saturday, December 18th. They're going to be on the undercard for the Jake Paul Tommy Fury fight. So that's going to be on Showtime pay-per-view. So Frank making his pay-per-view debut. So
that's crazy, man. I'm gonna check that out.
I'm gonna tune in for that, and I'm gonna I hope Frank Gore knocks Williams the hell out. Like, come on. And just one last notable thing about Frank before we move on here. I did see this thing that Frank had posted on social media where he said like he'd give anything to bring like a Super Bowl to the faithful. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Frank really wants to come back and be a Niner. I think he's almost like holding out for that. And, when the Niners didn't really make an attempt to sign him, he's like, I'm going to try something else. So, yeah.
That'd be nice. That would have been nice if they did.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Especially, I mean, we lost Jeff Wilson. We lost Raheem. We had spots that we could have used him for sure. But Elijah Mitchell was just as good as he is. So we didn't. But and I mean, Kyle likes the outside run too. So I mean, Frank's more between the tackles, so he doesn't really fit a lot of what we do. But you can't tell me you can't use Frank Gore. I don't know.
Right. Hey, welcome to this week's Redskins Rundown. It is a bye week, so this is going to be relatively quick. But there was a little bit of news. Biggest one would be, as everyone expected, the replacement kicker for Hopkins, he blew it. It's too easy not to use it.
Yeah.
So Chris Blewett got cut, and they actually picked up Joey Sly, which is kind of ironic. Another Carolina player. Ron does seem to like going to keep old Carolina players, and not really sure why. Like you were saying earlier, it's like the teams really weren't that good, but so far though, it's hasn't really worked out that good. So.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. That name was too easy of an opportunity, and I was hoping that he'd just come out and kick ass, and the name would never, even factor. But yeah,
he really did blow it too. I mean, he hit that lineman in the head with the ball one time. It was blocked. Yeah. 2 of them blocked. It was just like, dude, he should not have even been in the NFL. Like, why would you cut Hopkins and pick him up? And then Hopkins makes the game-winning field goal for the Chargers.
Yeah.
And it's like, of course, I think he might have missed. He missed an extra point though again, which he
did.
So it's like, well, but that's still way more consistent than Blewett. And I think Joey Sly should be at least fine. I don't know if he's gonna be great, but at least better than what we had. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. To actually now, if the kicking team comes out, everyone's not going to shit themselves and be like, no, don't let them on the field. It's like, okay, we got a chance here. Like he has a pretty good record. He's 25 for 32 in Carolina.
Yeah, so, or having those 16 those
16 to 22 for 40 yards and beyond. So that's pretty consistent.
Yeah, and I mean Joey Sly, the one thing that he has over Hopkins and definitely over Blewett is he's got a phenomenal leg. He's got a stronger leg than either of those other two.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he just banged a 56-yarder for us in the rain a couple weeks ago against Indy. Remember that? Just like no problem, 56-yarder. But the knock on Sly, and I mean, this really isn't any worse off than with Hopkins. You're basically just going back to kind of like what you had with Hopkins before. He does tend to miss extra points. He missed 2 of the 4 he attempted with us in the 3 games that we had him filling in for Robbie Gould. But he made most of his field goals, like 11 of 13 on the season. He was 7 out of 8 with us. And then he did some work with Houston earlier in the season. So at least like you said, you're back to a guy that's got real NFL game experience. Chris Blewett hadn't kicked in the NFL since 2016 with Washington, which that's awesome for him to get that opportunity, because believe me, I'd love to get that opportunity, like all these years later to get an opportunity to kick. But like chances are, like if you haven't kicked in a while, you're probably like not like, I mean, it's
not going to go that well.
Exactly. You got to put in the time. So definitely not surprised that some of his kicks were low. I mean, he did hit a 50+ yarder. So I mean, some of his kicks when he had the leg strength and got him up did look good. But we'll have to see how the change of kicker moves forward.
And I'll get to see him firsthand because I'm going to be in DC next weekend. So for the Bucks game, which is ironic because I'm so close to the Bucks stadium, but it is what it is. But I'm excited to go. It's going to be pretty freaking cold up there, but it'll be cool to see a game in person.
Oh yeah.
Looking forward to that, and hopefully some players are back off IR, and like Logan Thomas is hopefully back. I'm excited to see. And they're pretty good seats too. It'll be in the lower area by one of the tunnels. So.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
That'll be cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, that will be cool. So, yeah, definitely stay tuned, Redskins and Washington Nation, because he's gonna have some firsthand reporting. Maybe we can't. I was like, maybe we can put some pictures. We can't put pictures of the NFL up on here, even if you snap them.
I feel like if it's like a video you take yourself, I think you can.
Maybe we can. Maybe we'll look into that, and maybe fans will have a treat for you next week if we're allowed to legally do that. But we don't want to get sued before we really get this thing off the ground. Not having fucking Goodell fucking rat-a-tat-tat on my door.
Yeah, we're hoping for a upset win against the Bucks, kind of like the Steelers last year. So we'll see what happens. Absolutely. Catch you next week.
Hey, what's going on, faithful? Thanks for joining us on the weekly Niners news update. Today, we've got some big news to cover. The Niners did get some good news this week, returning several key players. Among those were
Kittle.
Yep, George Kittle, probably the most important because he makes everything work in our running game.
Absolutely.
Also, Jeff Wilson Jr., who is one of our top backs. It's going to be nice to see what he does along with Elijah Mitchell. Maybe if we can get them paired up and going together. And
Elijah Mitchell has looked real good so far.
Yeah, I've really liked what I've seen out of him. I think he's going to be really good for us. He was the later round guy, and he's actually outplayed Trey Sermon, who was our 3rd round pick. In fact, Trey Sermon hasn't even been getting carries the last 3 weeks. We haven't seen him get a carry since the last Arizona game. But yeah, it's been Elijah Mitchell, and the last few weeks, JaMychal Hasty mostly. We didn't see any of Jeff Wilson in the game. He was active, and he did dress. But I'm thinking that Kyle just didn't play him. He's probably just going to give him one more week, since he just came off IR from that knee injury that he got.
That's really smart, especially with the depth at running back. And you should never rush anybody back.
Yeah, especially like in that situation against I mean, we ran for a season low 39 yards against Arizona, so we did not run the ball well. but it was also limited opportunities. On the game, I
Yeah,
want to.
you were down so quickly. I mean, once the score was
Right.
what it was, it's like, well, you got to pass.
Exactly. Elijah Mitchell only had 8 carries on the entire day. So I mean that kind of and he had a couple good runs. He had a couple good bursts. He averaged like 4.5 a carry. But yeah, like you said, with the deficit, we were down. We're
I
down
think it
pretty
was
early.
17-0.
Yeah,
It was 17-0 at one point.
Yeah, we were down 17-0 in the second quarter, pretty quick. And the way that it had started was our first drive started off with promising enough. We picked up a couple key first downs, but then we got stuck in a second and long situation. Then Jimmy threw an incomplete pass, and then he took a sack on third down, and then we had to punt. So they ended up coming down on their first drive, and we end up making them punt. So it started out well enough. We were exchanging punts, and then on our second drive, Jimmy hits George Kittle for a big 18-yard game, and Kittle just fumbles the ball for the first fumble he's ever lost in his entire NFL career. And it just got punched out from behind. He didn't even see the guy coming. Byron Murphy just punched it out.
There's not much you can do when that happens. If they get their hand on it and push it out, it's like, well, that's a good defensive play.
Yeah, exactly. And Kittle was bracing for the guy in front of him, like he was getting ready to get tackled, and then the guy just came in behind and knocked the ball out. So it's like, okay, well, and I mean, so that was unfortunate. So that was really stopped. Like I said, we had a one play 18-yard drive. It started out, real great, and then we fumbled and gave them the ball at their own 43. So they start coming down the field and they score. They ended up losing one of their running backs, Chase Edmonds, early in the game, but it really didn't matter. James Conner more than made up for it. He ended up having 3 touchdowns total, 96 yards on the ground, 77 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns rushing, 1 receiving. He killed us. We couldn't stop the run. We got killed with their screens. There were a couple situations where we had them backed up on a 3rd and 18 in one instance, and Colt McCoy hits James Conner on just a real quick dump off screen. And Alshire comes out and should have made the tackle after like a gain of 6 yards. But Alshire misses the tackle. And Alshire is usually one of our better linebackers, but he just misses the tackle. So we got killed with bad tackling on screens, took some bad angles, and we couldn't stop the run. So overall, the defense was just not playing well at all. And that was really unfortunate because we got gashed throughout the entire day. I mean, we finally started to stop them a little bit in the second half, but at that point we were already down like 31-7, and then we came back and got
just too far down, really.
Yeah, it was just too much to overcome, and a lot of just bad calls too. There was a situation where we would have had them stopped on one of the drives where they went down and got their second touchdown, but I don't know if you saw this, but Eric Armstead sacks Colt McCoy, and they call him for a face mask. And basically what it was like Colt McCoy went down to like brace himself, and Armstead's like face like grazed like his head, because Armstead was like, that's what it was. It was like a graze. And they're like, he didn't grip anything on the replay, like, but they called it for a face mask. And it was a 3rd down and 10. And they said it would have been 4th down. They would have punted. Down 7-0, we still had a chance.
Sometimes the ref calls are terrible.
I know they've killed Washington in some games, and we only had 3 penalties on us all game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the penalties, like especially defensive pass interference, have killed us all game. And this year, this game, we didn't have any defensive pass interferences. We only committed 3 penalties, but one of them was that. Another one was a key Josh Norman for taunting. Josh Norman has been called for probably more fouls than anybody on our defense. It's been rough. Basically, what ended up happening is, again, we had him stopped again on a 3rd down. It was 3rd and 18 again, like another 3rd and 18. We stopped him for like a gain of 3. K'Wan Williams comes up from that shark position, that nickel corner, and just like stops the play, tackle. 3rd and 15 or 4th and 15, they're gonna punt. But Josh Norman gets into it with one of their linemen. I think it was Beecham. And then he starts like talking shit to Kingsbury on the sideline. And so Josh Norman gets called for taunting, and so does Kingsbury, but Cliff Kingsbury gets called between the downs. So if they would have offset, it would have like remained the same down. But since Josh Norman got called on 4th down. That became a first down, an automatic first down for Arizona. And then Cliff Kingsbury was enforced on the first down, if that makes sense. So like they got an automatic first down and then had to back up on his unsportsmanlike conduct. Because I guess like Cliff Kingsbury was talking like shit back to Josh Norman. They were like kind of like getting into it. You'll have to look at that if you didn't see it. But yeah, after that, Kyle benched Norman. Josh Norman did not come back in the game at all. People were speculating that he might be done with the Niners. We put which Kyle's since confirmed that he's still going to play. He just wanted him to cool off. But we put Drake Kirkpatrick in there, to play the other corner spot opposite of Emmanuel Mosley, who's our really good corner. Now that we have Jason, if we would have had Jason Verrett, who we lost in the season opener, and Emmanuel Mosley, we wouldn't have half of these secondary issues. But it's been rough. It's been rough. We had to get Josh Norman off the street, who we signed in like the preseason. Really didn't even know like the system. But yeah. So that gives them a first down. They go down and they get a field goal on that one. So then we're down 17-0 on 2 drives where we had them stopped. So really at that point the game should have still been 7-0. And then Jimmy hits Kittle for the touchdown inside the final minute of the first quarter. I think 16 seconds left. He finds Kittle to cap a great drive, puts us down 17-7 at the half. But it was a rough day. I know everybody likes to criticize Jimmy. The only thing that I can say bad about Jimmy's play on the day was he definitely didn't avoid pressure very well. He took 5 sacks on the day, but a lot of that has to do with the offensive line and the fact that we lost right tackle Mike McGlinchey with a torn quad.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's more probably the line than I mean he's not the most mobile, so that's already well known. But with him out, that's it's just like we lost Chase Roulier in Washington. That's gonna be.
Yeah, that's a big loss. And Washington, of course, has had several. I know you guys have already had like Flowers has been out, and who's the other one that's been
there's a bunch of people out.
Sam Cosme is the other one. That's what I was thinking. Right. So offensive line injuries suck right now. The favorites to replace him, Kyle hasn't revealed who it's going to be yet, but it's either going to be rookie Jalen Moore, who started for Trent Williams in the rain game and played all right. So it's either going to be Jalen Moore, Tom Compton. Tom Compton's the one that came in and filled in for McGlinchey. And honestly, he didn't play that good. He got bull rushed a couple times pretty good and didn't look that good. Or they might use right guard Daniel Brunskill and just kind of shift some things around. Maybe play more at that guard position instead and might just switch some things around. But yeah, definitely with the Rams, in the future for Monday night, I'm not looking forward to that, especially not having. I know a lot of people talk shit about McGlinchey because he's not, they don't think he's the best right tackle, especially in pass protection. He's really good in the run game, but we don't have anybody else as good as him. So
no, you need him.
Yeah, we definitely need him, especially whether he's going to be going up against Leonard Floyd or Von Miller this weekend. I mean, he's going to have his hands full, whoever's in there. So definitely could have used him. So that's rough. But yeah. But it wasn't all bad. Like I said, I definitely do like to focus on some of the positive. In that, Brandon Ayuk did have his best game of the season, catching 6 passes for 89 yards and 1 touchdown. Debo got himself up to 882 yards on the season now through 8 games, which eclipses Jerry's record through 8 games now. It's like each game he plays, like he breaks like a new Jerry Rice record for like for games in the season with yards. So I don't think he's gonna break like Jerry's like career records, but like he might break a few of Jerry's like all like individual season records. Like
maybe I hope so.
Debo's bad, man. They showed him, but they showed
Ayuk getting some work actually.
Yeah, I know, dude. That's what I was saying on last week's show. I was saying that we've got to find Ayuk some looks because the offense is a lot different. I mean, we moved the ball well in this game. We had 337 total yards. If we didn't have 2 key fumbles to Kittle and Ayuk, just trying to make plays for extra yards, just trying to get extra effort, we're probably going in and getting 2 touchdowns there, or at least field goals. So I mean, like our offense has been moving the ball. Jimmy had one pick in the game, but it was in garbage time. He was 28 out of 40. Second game in a row where he was over 300 yards. And actually, the last 2 weeks, Jimmy's QBR has been higher than any other QB in the league. So a lot of people wouldn't expect that. But yeah, Jimmy's actually been playing his ass off the last 2 weeks. So other than taking sacks in that game, which a lot of that does fall on the line as well, and his own immobility, he played a good game. He played a really good game. So, I mean, we do have the Rams next. Sometimes we do have their number. At least it's been that way in the past. I'm hoping that it's a different Rams team, and they're going to be pissed. They're going to be coming off a loss, but
yeah.
I mean, I'm hoping. I mean, we've got Robbie Gould back. That's the one I didn't think I got to. It was good to have Robbie back, our more consistent kicker. Thanks to Joey Sly for filling in. Did pretty good for us, 7 out of 8 for field goals.
Yeah, he went from the Niners and came to Washington.
Yeah, we covered that on an earlier segment. If you're just joining us now, and then 2 for 4 on extra points. But Sly is going to Washington to replace Chris Blewett. That's his real name. If you guys didn't know. Kicker with the last name Blewett. Who'da thunk it? Yeah. Yeah. That's like it's like being like a quarterback with like the last name like pick six. Like it's just like not good. It's just like yeah, I just wouldn't count on that guy. But
right.
But yeah, big game, big divisional game against the Rams because we are 0-3 in the division right now, so we need a win. I mean, that's the only way to save our season at this point. I mean, I'm not saying it's a must win, but they're all must wins in the NFL. You always got to win. You got to go out there and execute. And I mean, we have had this will be our second straight game with Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo on the same field together, which we didn't have like at all last season. So if our line can hold up, I'm predicting a good game. I mean, Kittle had 6 for 101 yards in his first game back, 6 catches, 101 yards and a touchdown in his first game back. So Kittle didn't, come back and like phone it in. He was out there busting his ass as he always is. The people's tight end. But yeah, so join us next week. We're going to recap how it goes against the Rams. We're hoping for a win. My God, we need one. Hopefully Jimmy can lead us to a win, and maybe we'll see some Trey. We haven't seen it the last 2 weeks. Maybe we'll see some Trey package. Be nice. Kind of surprised we didn't see that.
It's always you never know if he's coming or not. It's always interesting. You're like, are we going to see Trey today or not?
Yeah, I know. It's always kind of interesting, but I'm sure we'll see him again before too long. But yeah, join us next week, and we'll have all the news and updates for you then. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good night, everyone.
And that's going to do it for this week's Extra Point Show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us as always. Make sure that if you have football friends and other fans in your life, you tell them about the show and like and subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely trying to, blow this thing up. So
spread the word.
Spread the word and, maybe get some high-profile NFL guests on this show one day. Wouldn't that be nice? So we'll see. We appreciate all you guys for watching, and have a good night. Nick will update you guys next week from inside the stadium himself.
From in FedEx Field.
Yeah. All right. See you guys next week. Good night.